There's a reason a man can feel like he's finally cracked the code with women, only to watch everything unravel the second he relaxes. A reason she drifts the moment he leans in. A reason she'll treat one man like the center of gravity and another like furniture in the room. It isn't chance. It isn't bad timing. It isn't his jawline. It's law. Hidden law. Rules that predate dating apps, predate psychology textbooks, predate every how to make her chase you clip you've ever watched at 2 a.m. Rules women operate by on pure instinct and will never sit you down to explain. Today, you're getting all 10. 1. She tests you hardest when she likes you, and hardest of all when she can't trust you yet. There's a cold truth about people that most men refuse to absorb because they keep mistaking feeling for fact and attention for devotion. Testing isn't a tantrum. Testing is reconnaissance. Machiavelli noticed that people stripped of formal power tend to develop razor instincts for reading character, loyalty, and reliability in others. The women of his era held no thrones, commanded no armies, signed no decrees. Their leverage was perception, influence, and the ability to judge whether the man in front of them was a shelter or a hazard. The probing starts small. You'll write it off as moodiness, a flash of irritation, a needling little comment. Underneath it runs a calculation. Who are you when the polish wears off? Not the version you advertise, the version you snap back to under strain. When she likes you, the testing sharpens, because now she has something to lose. An attraction without trust is just exposure dressed up as romance. She studies the unglamorous moments. How you treat the waiter. How you respond when the plan falls apart. How you behave when you're drained and someone still needs something from you. Every probe asks one question. Do you stay yourself when the conditions stop favoring you? When trust is absent, the tests get heavier and darker. Not about fidelity, about whether your judgment holds, whether your moods govern you or you govern them, whether your words and your conduct describe the same man. Machiavelli understood that the person with the most to lose interrogates the one who could cause that loss. She's checking 5 things: whether you actually are who you market yourself as, whether you fold under weight, whether your actions ever catch up to your speeches, whether you respect yourself, and whether you can disagree without detonating. She isn't hunting for power. She's hunting for certainty, in a world where reading a man wrong costs her far more than it costs you. The men who resent the tests fail them. The men who fear them get exposed by them. The men who understand them pass without effort, not because they're playing her, but because they've already mastered themselves. If you're here to actually win this game instead of losing it slowly, subscribe. This channel is built for the men who'd rather understand the rules than get blindsided by them. 2. The traits that pull her in are the exact ones she'll later try to file down. Here's the cruel mechanics of attraction. Whatever first drew her toward you is usually the first thing she'll try to moderate once she's emotionally invested. People aren't magnetized by safety. They're magnetized by intensity, edges, ambition, certainty, independence, a man who clearly belongs to himself. But the second attachment forms, the preservation instinct fires. She fell for your ambition because it signaled force and direction. Later she resents it for stealing your hours. She fell for your independence because it proved you weren't desperate. Later that same independence feels like unpredictability she can't soothe. She fell for the parts of you she couldn't fully read. Later the unknown feels like a threat because now there's something at stake. This isn't hypocrisy. It's instinct. People try to domesticate whatever they can't predict, because unpredictability registers as danger. the more important you become to her, the less comfortable she is with the parts of you she can't steer. And steering here doesn't mean tyranny, it means security. The real insight is darker than she wants to change you. She doesn't want to erase those traits. She wants to absorb them, to make your fire something she controls the temperature of. If she can soften your independence, it stops frightening her. If she can turn your mission into a negotiation, she feels closer to certain. But there's the trap. If you actually let her sand those edges down, attraction quietly dies, not because she wants it to, but because attraction isn't a decision. The more someone values you, the harder they work to tame what made you valuable, and if you permit it, you stop being that man. The answer isn't resistance for its own sake. It's self-honesty. You can't perform confidence, you have to own it. You can't fake a mission, you have to be on one. Keep the fire close enough to warm her, never small enough to vanish. 3. Attraction doesn't die overnight. Respect does, and attraction never outlives it. If there's one law men flinch from, it's this: relationships don't collapse when the spark fades. They collapse when respect dies. Attraction can survive conflict, distance, dull seasons, and flaws. Respect can't survive a man losing control of himself, not of her, of himself. She loses it when you beg, when you chase, when you bargain for affection, when you erupt, when you contradict yourself, when you apologize for things you didn't do, when you abandon your principles to keep the peace. Every one of those broadcasts the same signal: you no longer hold the frame of your own life. Machiavelli wrote that no ruler keeps power once his people can see fear inside him, because visible fear breeds instability, and in a relationship, instability is the fastest killer of respect. She might stay with a man she no longer respects, but the connection is already a corpse. Attraction becomes politeness. Intimacy becomes obligation. The bleakest part is that women feel respect die long before they can name it. It's in your tone, your posture, your hesitation, your inconsistency. And here's the trap most men walk straight into. In their panic to win the affection back, they pour out grand gestures and desperate promises, sacrificing the one thing affection actually depends on: self-governance. You can't lead another person once you've surrendered authority over yourself. Respect isn't demanded. It's demonstrated, through presence, not dominance, through certainty, not superiority, through command of yourself, not control of her. 4. She's pulled toward the power you never advertise. Most men think power means volume, dominance, displays, a highlight reel of accomplishments. Machiavelli would have laughed. The deepest power is the kind that never announces itself, power living in a man's restraint, his boundaries, his silences. The kind that's felt, not stated. A woman registers subtle power long before she'd ever admit it consciously. She notices the man who controls himself before she notices the man straining to control the room. She clocks the pause before he speaks, the way he listens without scrambling for approval, the way he walks from something the instant it crosses his line, the way he doesn't flinch at discomfort. Those microsignals hit her like a frequency, and they can't be faked, because they come from self-command, not performance. Machiavelli argued power should stay concealed until it has to be used, not out of trickery but out of efficiency. Flaunt it, and you teach the world how to disarm you. The man who over-advertises becomes predictable and easy to dismiss. Worse, when he strains to prove his worth, he confesses the doubt underneath it, and women read doubt like a cold draft in a warm room. The man who doesn't broadcast his power forces her to lean in and decode him, and that leaning in is exactly where attraction is born. Not from spectacle. From curiosity. Inner power is rare, hard to imitate, impossible to defeat, which is precisely why she'd rather you never learned it beats the display every time. 5. She watches how you handle loss far more closely than how you handle a win. Any man can shine when life is going his way. Success makes confidence cheap. Machiavelli's point was that a man's real nature surfaces when something gets taken from him: status, money, direction, momentum. Women watch this far more carefully than men suspect, not out of cruelty but out of instinct. She wants to know whether you break or rebuild, whether you blame the world or adapt to it. This is one of the darkest laws because it names a truth people avoid. Women respect resilience over success. Success shows what a man can achieve. Resilience shows what he can survive, and survival is what she can trust. She's quietly asking whether you turn bitter or strategic, whether you collapse or reorganize, whether loss shrinks you or refines you. She studies the days after the storm, not the moment during it. Anyone looks composed mid-crisis with an audience watching. She wants to see who you are once the applause stops. This is why some men lose a woman not because of the setback itself but because of how they carried it: passive, resentful, masking the insecurity with bravado or self-pity. She sees the foundation crack and steps back. The man who absorbs the hit, regulates himself, and rebuilds brick by brick becomes far more desirable, not because he's invincible, but because he's unbreakable. She isn't testing your success. She's testing your survival instinct. 6. She never forgets how you made her feel in the first 10 seconds. First impressions aren't impressions, they're emotional imprints, and they become the lens she reads everything else through. If those first 10 seconds signal calm, presence, and self-command, she'll later interpret your flaws as human. If they leak hesitation, neediness, or performed masculinity, she'll later interpret even your strengths as accidents. She's making rapid, intuitive reads off micro-behaviors: eye contact, posture, the pace of your voice, your comfort in your own skin. She isn't thinking in words, she's feeling in instinct. And presence can't be faked past a few moments. Her intuition cuts through theatrics even when she can't name what's off. This is why men get filed instantly as safe, magnetic, unstable, or irrelevant, and why they walk away confused, convinced attraction builds slowly. It often doesn't. She frequently decides beneath conscious thought inside a minute. A man who arrives with stillness and groundedness creates a gravitational pull. A man who arrives leaking anxiety creates emotional static. She may revise her verdict over time, but that first feeling keeps echoing underneath. Master this, and you're working a dimension of attraction no script can teach, only self-cultivation can. If this is reshaping how you see all of it, do yourself a favor and hit subscribe. The men who actually master female psychology are the ones who keep showing up to learn the parts nobody says out loud. 7. Her true intentions only appear once she realizes you're no longer afraid to lose her. Most men never witness a woman's real behavior, because they never stop negotiating their own worth. They cling, comply, shrink, and overinvest the instant they feel her slipping, terrified of the loss, performing the entire relationship. What they miss is that fear distorts how she sees them. A woman can't show her true intentions while she senses you're emotionally kneeling. Desperation drafts her into a position of power she never asked for, and from there she starts evaluating you through a harsher lens. wondering what weakness makes you grip so tightly, wondering whether you value yourself at all. But when the fear dissolves, everything resets. The moment a man stops treating her as the center of his existence, she stops treating him as someone she controls. Only then does she reveal what she actually wants, and one of two things happens. Either she steps toward you with clarity and respect, or she steps away because she was only ever drawn to the leverage your fear gave her. There's no third outcome. People reveal their truth the moment they can no longer profit from your illusions. Machiavelli warned rulers to watch people once their advantage is gone. That's when real loyalties surface. Until she knows you're genuinely willing to walk, you don't meet the real her. When you fear losing her, you move like a servant. When you don't, you move like a sovereign, and sovereignty is what she responds to. Not arrogance. Purpose. 8. She respects you more for the boundaries you enforce than the love you pour out. Men assume affection, time, and devotion are the currencies that buy respect. They're not. Love without boundaries does the opposite. It breeds quiet contempt. What earns respect isn't how much you give, it's how clearly you define what cannot be taken from you. A man who tolerates everything signals that he stands for nothing, and his affection turns cheap because it's available at any price. Boundaries are the architecture of a man's respect. They announce self-worth without a word. They tell her whether you can lead yourself, and if you can't lead yourself, she can't trust you to lead anything. Here's where the law turns dark. A boundary doesn't exist until it costs you something. Talking about your standards is noise. A boundary becomes real only when you'll enforce it even if she threatens to leave. That's the moment respect is forged. She's watching how you behave when a boundary gets pressed. Do you fold, justify, apologize for having a spine? Most men crumble. The second one is challenged, terrified of losing her warmth, and the instant they crumble, the entire dynamic rewrites permanently. The man who holds his standards risks a little short-term friction and gains long-term respect. The man who avoids all conflict buys short-term peace and bleeds out long-term attraction. Boundaries don't push her away, they build the container love can actually grow inside. Love without them isn't love. It's attachment in a costume. 9. She's loyal to how you make her feel, not to anything you'll ever say. People like to believe they choose through logic. In relationships, logic is a supporting actor, emotion directs. A woman's loyalty doesn't anchor to your promises or your vocabulary. It anchors to the emotional climate you create inside her. You can swear devotion 1,000 times, but if the feeling doesn't match the words evaporate. This is why some men lose a woman despite doing everything right. They communicated, reassured, explained, but never learned that your words don't bind her, the emotional state you trigger does. When she says she loves you, she's describing how she feels near you, safe, alive, desired, understood. The words ride on top of the feeling, never the reverse. And emotional loyalty isn't built through endless softness, it's built through balance. Polarity, tension, stability, challenge, peace. A man who triggers only comfort becomes forgettable. One who triggers only intensity becomes unreliable. One who triggers nothing becomes invisible. Every moment of honesty, challenge, reassurance, and reconnection becomes part of a pattern, and that pattern becomes her loyalty map. If it's full of starvation and inconsistency, her investment quietly drains and she seeks nourishment elsewhere, often without admitting it even to herself. If it's full of genuine emotional richness, she commits deeper, not from obligation, but because the emotional world you provide grounds her. A woman doesn't stay for the man who says the right things. She stays for the man who makes her feel the right things. What she felt with you becomes the standard she measures every man after you against, and if you mastered emotional presence, every one of them feels like a downgrade. 10. The moment you lose control of yourself, you lose control of the relationship. Self-control isn't just discipline, it's command over your own emotional weather. The man who can't regulate himself becomes a liability, not because he's bad but because he's unpredictable, and unpredictability built on instability rather than mystery dissolves trust. A woman leans on your emotional steadiness more than your money, humor, or intelligence. Those attract her. Your regulation determines whether she can rely on you. Men lose relationships less from a lack of love than from a lack of composure. The outbursts, the jealous spirals, the panic, the neediness, the insecurity disguised as passion. The instant you lose your footing, she feels the ground shift, and when she feels unsafe at the emotional level, every good quality you have stops counting. If she can't predict your reactions, she can't trust your leadership. If she can't trust your leadership, she can't relax, and the polarity collapses. Machiavelli warned that a leader must appear steady through the storm, steady, not emotionless. Women aren't looking for men who feel nothing. They're looking for men who don't shatter, who can feel deeply without letting feeling hijack judgment, who stay grounded while she's overwhelmed. The moment you lose control, she becomes the emotional adult in the relationship, and the instant she has to manage you, her respect drains, and when respect dies, attraction always follows. Self-regulation also keeps you from answering her temporary emotions with permanent damage. A bad mood is weather, not climate. The man who lacks control responds to weather with destruction. The man with mastery responds with stability. That's why powerful men are calm, not because they feel nothing, but because they refuse to be ruled by what they feel. The relationship collapses the second your emotions start leading you instead of following you. Self-control is the last line of defense, the final source of respect, the bedrock of attraction. Lose it, and everything else comes down with it. That's the full 10. If you intend to actually live by these instead of relearning them through loss, subscribe and stay. Mastering female psychology is the quiet edge most men never develop, and the men who do never go back.